Abini held her breath, pressed flat against the cool hardwood floor beneath the enormous mahogany bed, barely stifling a laugh. The white wedding dress, which she still hadn't changed out of since the ceremony, billowed around her like a cloud, the veil tangled in the box springs above her head. If Omari sees me like this, looking like a tiny angel climbing out from under the bed, he's going to have a heart attack, she thought, picturing her new husband walking into the room. He'd search every corner, calling out worriedly until she burst out yelling, "Surprise!" And they'd laugh until they cried, just like in the old days. Back then, Omari was different, fun, carefree, with bright eyes and a contagious laugh. He used to show up under her window at midnight with an acoustic guitar, singing the blues until the neighbors started yelling and threatening to call the police. She would dash out in her pajamas and fuzzy bunny slippers, and they'd run off, giggling like teenagers, even though they were both well over 30. The door creaked open, but instead of her husband's familiar footsteps, Abini heard the distinctive clack of her mother-in-law's heels. Zola swept into the room with that air of authority she always carried, as if this were her territory, her domain, where she was the absolute queen. "Yes, Shanice, I'm home now," she said into her phone, settling down precisely on the edge of the bed Abini was hiding under. The springs groaned, forcing the bride to flatten herself even further against the floor. No way. The girl turned out to be very docile. Too much so, I'd say. Omari says she's practically an orphan, that her daddy is some nickel-and-dime engineer at a plant, barely scraping by. I went personally to see her place, a hovel in some run-down building out in Decatur. A shame, truly. But now my Omari has leverage. Abini felt her blood run cold. Docile. Orphan. Her father was an engineer, yes, but not just any kind. He was the head of design at Kinetic Designs, LLC, a defense industry firm, a modest man who never boasted about his position. The apartment in that old building actually belonged to her late Aunt Clara, and her father kept it for sentimental reasons, because he'd grown up there. In reality, they lived in a spacious, 3-bedroom condo in the affluent Buckhead neighborhood. Abini simply hadn't felt the need to flaunt any of that to her future mother-in-law. "You understand, Shanice? The plan is simple," Zola continued. Abini heard the telltale click of a lighter. Omari had sworn to her that his mother had quit smoking 10 years ago. They'll live together for 6 months, a year at most. Then Omari starts saying they're not compatible. I'll play my part. I'll say the daughter-in-law doesn't respect me, talks back, can't cook, the house is a mess. You know, the usual routine. They'll get an amicable separation, and the condo, which is in her name now, of course, will claim it in court. Omari put up the money. We have all the receipts saved. Besides, the girl won't put up a fight. What can a girl from the country do against us? Omari and I have it all mapped out. Zola's phone rang again. "Hello? Omari? Yes, son, I'm in your room. No, your brand new wife isn't around. She's probably out celebrating with her friends. Don't worry, she can't escape now. She's got the ring on her finger, the seal on the certificate. Done deal. Bird in a cage. Just remember what we talked about. No weakness. From day one, she needs to understand who runs this house, and don't you dare give in to her little tears or tantrums. They're all the same. You give them an inch, and they take a mile. Drive safe, son. I'll stay a little longer. I'm going to smoke a cigarette. I'll open the window so the smoke doesn't stink up the place. Wouldn't want your little wife to start complaining." Abini lay beneath the bed, feeling the world crumble around her. She was trembling, not from the cold, but from betrayal, rage, and disgust. The man she had entrusted her life to was a fraud, an accomplice in his mother's scheme to rob her, and the signs had always been there. She remembered how Omari insisted the condo be put solely in her name. "Baby, it's easier with the paperwork and you'll feel more secure. It's yours," he'd said, kissing her forehead. And she, the fool, had believed him. She also recalled Zola's probing questions about her family. "And your mother? You don't have anyone else left? Oh, what a tragedy, the poor little girl." Those looks, which Abini had mistaken for tenderness, were actually pure calculation, the cold instinct of a hunter sizing up her prey. Zola stood up from the bed, paced the room, and stopped in front of the mirror. "Don't worry, Shanice. Patience. I put up with my late husband for 30 years until he finally kicked the bucket. And now the house, the properties, and the accounts are mine. He thought I was some country bumpkin only fit for making soup. Let this one believe it too. All the better. Well, darling, I'll let you go. I'll call you tomorrow and tell you how the lovebirds' first night went. If they even find each other, that is." She let out a nasty little laugh and left the room. Abini remained motionless for a long time, afraid to move. Then slowly, she crawled out, sat on the floor, and hugged her knees. The dress was covered in dust, the veil ripped, but none of that mattered. The important thing was deciding what to do. Her first impulse was to grab her things and leave immediately in her wedding dress in the middle of the night. But something new awakened in her, a cold determination. "No, sweethearts, you messed with the wrong one," she murmured, getting up. In her wedding purse was her cell phone. Abini quickly opened the voice recorder app. Luckily, she had managed to start recording when she heard her mother-in-law's footsteps, initially wanting to capture Omari's reaction to her joke. Now she had an ace up her sleeve, but one wasn't enough. She needed the whole deck. She quickly changed into a pair of jeans and a sweater, packed the dress away in the closet, and sat down at her laptop. Omari wouldn't be back for a while, and she planned to use the time well. The first call was to her father, Kamau. Despite the late hour, he answered immediately. "Princess, why aren't you sleeping? It's your wedding night, and you're calling me?" he said, with a mixture of affection and worry. "Daddy, I need to talk seriously. Do you remember offering to put your share of the company in my name?" There were a few seconds of silence. "Abini, what happened? Did that idiot do something to you?" "Daddy, nothing has happened yet, but I need a guarantee. Can you come to the notary first thing tomorrow morning?" "Of course, baby girl. And we'll transfer your Aunt Clara's condo into your name, too. I already have the paperwork ready." "Thank you, Daddy. I'll explain everything later." "No need. The minute I met that Omari, I knew he was an opportunist. And his mother? Forget about it, but you wouldn't listen to me. You were in love." "I wasn't, Daddy. I wasn't." The next call was to Sila, her best friend and lawyer. "Sila, I'm sorry to call you so late. I need a consultation. If a condo is in my name and I bought it before the wedding, does my husband have any right to it?" "Abini, what's going on? Are you already thinking about divorce? The wedding was today." "Sila, just answer. If I bought it before the wedding and it's only in my name?" "It's separate property. He could only claim something if he could prove he invested money in renovations or improvements. Why are you asking?" "I'll explain tomorrow. Can you stop by my place around 10? "Of course, girl. Hold tight." The door slammed shut. Omari was back. "Abini, where are you? Baby girl, I drove halfway across the city looking for you," he said in a worried voice, though she could now hear the falseness behind it. Abini walked down the stairs, trying to appear calm. "Hi, my love. I was just tidying up a little and I changed my clothes." Omari hugged and kissed her, and Abini had to make a huge effort not to pull away. "Why are you so cold? Are you freezing?" "I'm just tired. Let's go to sleep. Tomorrow is going to be a heavy day." "Heavy? We're on vacation for 2 weeks." "Yes, but the condo is new. We have to organize it. By the way, your mother was here looking for you." "My mother? What for?" Omari's voice tightened. "I don't know. I was in the shower. I just heard the door. Maybe she left a gift." They went to bed, and Omari fell asleep right away. Abini, on the other hand, lay there with her eyes open, planning. She had 2 weeks of vacation to put everything in order. In that time, she had to gather proof, protect her assets, and teach those scoundrels a lesson they would never forget. And she knew exactly how to do it. The next morning, Omari woke her with a kiss. "Good morning, Mrs. Ramos," he hummed. Abini almost corrected him. "It's Vargas on my passport." But she stopped herself. "Good morning. Do you want coffee?" "Sure. And an omelet, if it's not too much trouble. Your mother says you're a wonderful cook." Abini almost burst out laughing. Yesterday, that same mother told her friend that her daughter-in-law couldn't cook. "Of course, sweetheart. Go take your shower. I'll make breakfast." While Omari showered, humming some pop song, Abini turned on her phone's recorder and hid it among the spice jars. Then she took a package of pre-made pancakes from the freezer. She heated them in the microwave and served them with whipped cream and jam. She decided not to make the omelet out of principle. He could be satisfied with what he got. "Wow, pancakes? Did you whip those up so early?" Omari came out of the bathroom in a robe, drying his wet hair. "Yes, especially for you," Abini replied with a smile. He sat down at the table, took a bite, and frowned. "They're weird, a little rubbery." "It's a new recipe. They're low-fat," she replied calmly, serving the coffee. "Oh, well. Hey, I was thinking, what if you include me on the condo paperwork? You know, so I can handle things with the HOA or repairs." Abini took a sip of coffee, deliberately drawing out the pause. "And why would you need that? I can take care of everything. Or do you think I'm not capable?" "No, of course you are, but, well, I'm the man, the head of the household." "Sure, honey. We'll talk about it later. I have plans with a friend today." "Which friend?" His tone turned suspicious. "Sela. You know her. We've been meaning to catch up for a long time." "Ah, her. That's fine, but don't be late. Mom is coming for dinner. Make something delicious." Abini smiled. "Of course, love. What is your mother like?" "She eats everything, but put some effort into it. The first impression is important." If Omari only knew the impression his mother had already made, he probably would have choked on his pancake. But Abini just nodded. "Will do." As soon as Omari left, supposedly to see his friends, though she was sure he was running to his mother to report on the progress of the divorce plan, Abini checked her phone. The recording was perfect, clear, especially the part where he talked about being the head of the household and his right to the condo. At 10 o'clock, Sela arrived, a freckled redhead with a folder of documents under her arm. "All right, tell me what dumpster fire we need to put out." Abini played the recording from the night before. Sela listened, her eyes widening. "Good Lord, Abini, this is blatant fraud. We can sue them." "We can, but I don't just want to sue. I want them to learn a lesson forever." "Whoa, the lioness has finally come out. I always said you were too nice. Let's see what we have. A recording of the mother-in-law, another of Omari. The condo is in your name, but he put up the money and has the receipts." "Wait a minute. He formally put up the money?" "Yes, but it was actually mine. Remember the trust fund my dad set up for me when I turned 18? It had accumulated a good amount. I gave that money to Omari, supposedly for something shared, but he withdrew it in cash, as if it were his, and theatrically handed it to the seller right in front of his mother. I didn't think anything of it. I thought he just wanted to show off for her. And the transfer from your account to his? Of course. It was all done through the bank. Perfect. That's our smoking gun. All right, listen up." Sela spread the documents on the table and began to explain the plan. "First, transfer all your money to accounts Omari doesn't know about. Second, formalize your stake in your father's company. Third, gather more evidence. And most importantly, show nothing. Act like the adorable wife until everything is ready." The doorbell rang. Her father had arrived with the notary. Kamal looked serene and steady, as always in difficult moments. "Good morning, Sela." "Abini. I brought Dr. Miller. He'll take care of everything." The notary, a gray-haired man in a crisp suit, placed the documents on the table. "So, we formalize the donation of 49% of the shares in Vargas Engineering and the transfer of the property at Republic Avenue, 245. "Correct." Abini nodded. "And this other document," her father added, taking out another folder, "is a power of attorney to administer the remaining 51% in case of my temporary incapacitation, just in case." While the papers were being signed, her father took Abini aside. "Now, are you going to tell me what's going on?" Abini played the recording for him. Her father listened in silence, his face hardening with every second. "The devils," he muttered finally, through gritted teeth. "Daddy, don't get involved. I'll handle this." "I know. You can do this alone. You're just like your mother, strong and determined. She'd be proud of you. But if you need anything, I'm right here." By nightfall, all the documents were ready. The money had been transferred to new accounts, and Abini had a plan perfectly mapped out. All that was left was to execute it. She went to the grocery store to buy what she needed for dinner. Zola eats everything. Perfect, she thought. She will eat everything. She bought chicken giblets for the broth, rice, margarine instead of butter, and, with special pleasure, a can of expired corned beef. She says I can't cook? We'll see. Back at the condo, she got to work. She prepared the broth with lots of bay leaves and peppercorns to make it spicy. The rice she overcooked until it looked